H3's channel is going to die. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, a year from now, 2 years from now, but the point is, it's going to die because he's completely lost his original audience. When I first started my YouTube career, I dreamt of meeting H3 and Ethan Klein. But in order to understand what I'm talking about, you first must understand who is and what is H3H3. And for majority of this video, I'm focusing mainly on Ethan Klein, who is the husband of HIla Klein, who runs the H3 channel. H3 started off as this satirical, funny reaction channel, and it made people like him because of how over the top and crazy he would go to make fun of these already dislikable characters when he would react to their video. When I first started making YouTube videos, I looked up to people like Cody Ko, iDubbbz, Drew Gooden, H3. See, even though all of those creators have changed, but the main difference is H3 changed his whole entire personality. H3's most viral video called Vape Nation is him making fun of how stupid YouTube content creators are and how crazy these videos can get. At the time when prank channels were thriving, he was one of the main channels that was reacting to these absolutely ridiculous pranks like Prank Invasion, Joey Salad, all these creators that were so easy to dislike. He made it so funny that it just made him so likable. But his most popular category of videos was him reacting to these over-the-top feminism, to these insane liberal that would post these videos on the internet and he would just roast them. So it's no shock that people who came to watch H3 for these insane feminism, liberal outbursts obviously had similar views to him. They also thought these people looked ridiculous and would also enjoy making fun of them. And you'll see that's why it's important for why he's going to lose a majority of his audience. And there always comes a point for most commentary content creators where they hit a point where they don't want to be making fun of people anymore. They can't take the heat, even if it comes with a flood of comments telling them how funny they are. So he completely switched up his content and then started the H3 podcast. And this is where things started to go up and down for Ethan. With his new podcast that he partnered with Tate doing so well, I think he almost thought like he was invincible, but his main focus was David Dobrik because he had access to Tate, who used to work hand in hand with David Dobrik. After uncovering a big secret about David Dobrik and almost ruining his whole entire career, Ethan discovered that he had a power that I think he never knew he had. He can cancel pretty much anybody. If he thought you didn't like him, and especially if you said you didn't like him, he would dedicate weeks, sometimes even months, to making sure he completely dismantled your credibility, to the point that it could potentially ruin your career. I remember when H3 dedicated a whole 40-minute segment of his podcast just to talking trash about something Logan Paul did 5 years ago, just because Logan Paul had recently posted a clip of him saying that Ethan was his least favorite YouTuber. But your opinion and my opinion on Logan Paul, I think we can all agree, just because somebody doesn't like you, I think we kind of already knew everything that Logan Paul did 5 years ago. And it just goes to show that when he thinks you don't like him, even if you think everybody already knows, he'll bring it back up because you're either with Ethan or you're against him. Over the past year or two, he's become an absolute hypocrite in everything he does and contradicts everything he stands for. One of his biggest enemies recently was Andrew Tate, who Ethan and HIla would adamantly say on the podcast that he would traffic women, that he would kidnap women, all because of an article that was posted with, again, absolutely no facts to it. But why were they so set on saying this about him? It was because they dedicated months to trying to destroy Andrew Tate, and when he responded back, commenting something along the lines of, "Ethan, your wife is not attractive,"
Makes you look like a bitch.
Ethan Klein! If you think you're more of a man than me, with your cholesterol and your ugly wife.
They were speaking with emotion and not with facts. They were desperately trying to defame Andrew Tate. Despite my views and your views on Andrew Tate, nobody should be accused of something that they did not do. And after all the evidence was released after an official police report, there was no evidence of any trafficking or kidnapping being taking place. It was ridiculous. It became very clear at that point, if you made it known that you didn't like H3 or HIla, they would take any articles or any negative press that has ever been made about you and run with it as if it was true. And when you hit a certain level of celebrity or YouTube fame, there's going to be tons of negative articles about you. So it's not hard to find one or two things where people could say, hey, look at this, look what he did. And trust me, you can find a lot of that with H3. To whoever follows my channel, I've made a few videos on this podcast called Fresh and Fit. And despite me not 100% agreeing with everything that they say, what H3 tried to do to one of the hosts of Fresh and Fit, I thought was, again, absolutely disgusting. disgusting. 19-year-old Instagram girl that used to be on the Fresh and Fit podcast for one episode claimed to have some story that had to do with Myron from the Fresh and Fit podcast. The whole theme of the story was that she was essentially insinuating that she felt like she was SA. Trying to say that that's not the case, but if you watch the whole entire clip, that is 100% what you're trying to lean towards.
And not even debating, just telling him how much I hate his views and like him himself. And yeah, so basically my friend was alone with Fresh and I was alone with Fit. Perfect.
Jesus.
It was a perfect night. I'm talking to him, I'm facing him in the driver's seat, I'm still going, I'm passionate and heated, telling him my views and stuff, and we ended up back at the podcast studio.
Whoa! They have her on the podcast and they have her on a phone call to keep her anonymous. But when listening to the story, you quickly learn her story makes absolutely no sense. As usual, there's no proof of anything. And this is just another case of you bringing somebody on the podcast to tell a story about a group of people that you don't like, just so you can have a story. But thankfully, other content creators saw this and quickly called out H3.
All of a sudden, we turned to leave. You wanna know why we did it? Because, Ethan, what you did was so goddamn fucking stupid. You brought on some young teenager to come tell salacious lies about another man just because you dislike them so much, you're willing to allow someone to come on and tell disparaging lies just to get back at them.
And they still didn't make any formal apology. They actually didn't say anything. This ironically brings me back to another point with Andrew Tate. On an episode of the H3 podcast, they had Mike from the Impulsive podcast on the show where they brought up Andrew Tate. And one of the key things they kept saying was that the reason Andrew Tate moved to Romania was because he wanted to R-word women more and it was easier to do it over there. I was like, no way, that doesn't sound like something he would say. And they said, yeah, there's a clip of it. There's a clip of Andrew Tate saying this. So when they play the clip, this is the clip that they play.
This is probably 14% of the reason I moved to Romania, because in Eastern Europe, none of this garbage flies. If you're going to go to the police and say he raped me back in 1988, they're going to say we should have done something about it then. If you're going to the police and say he raped me yesterday, say, okay, if you got physical evidence, or is there CCTV proof? Where'd it happen? Okay, let's go interview him right now. And if it wasn't really rape, I'd say, oh, we went to the club, we got drunk, she agreed to go back to my house, we started having sex, and then we carried on having sex, and then we had sex, and she didn't say anything wrong, and then she texted me afterwards, and I didn't text back, and now she's saying I raped her. The police would be like, okay, she's an idiot, bye. But no, not in the West. In the West, you can tell them that exact story, you're still fucked. You're fucked in the West. When people say, why did you in Romania? And I explain my 5 reasons. One of them is the Me Too era. They go, oh, well, you're a rapist. I say, no, I'm not a fucking rapist. But I like the idea of being able to just say, to do what I want. I like being free.
It's kind of incredible. Like, apparently he's been accused of rape enough times he had to move to Romania to avoid.
What bothers me so much is that even after watching this clip, they really thought the meaning of what he said was that he moved to Romania to R-word women more. His point was that many successful men could work very hard in the United States, and all it takes is one girl who is upset that you didn't text her back, she doesn't like how you treated her, whatever it is, and just the accusation can ruin your career, which is very similar to what you just did with the Fresh and Fit podcast. But again, luckily, 95% of the comments on that video agreed with me. His most recent cases within the last 2 months was when a video of a popular female streamer who was streaming her boyfriend screaming at her on the phone, showing how abusive he is, goes viral. He quickly on his podcast goes and releases who he thinks is the boyfriend on the phone. But of course, H3 did absolutely no research and ended up doxing the complete wrong person, having this person get massive amount of death threats, letters sent to his job, you name it, he got the repercussions of something he didn't even do because H3 again just wants a story. It just goes to show how lazy his podcasts are. When you look at most podcasts that are on the internet now, because it's gotten so mainstream, his just seems so disorganized. I feel like he relies so heavily on everybody in the background and he just kind of sits in his chair and does absolutely nothing. But people still return to watch him for the same reason that I used to watch it. Because I love Ethan and H3 so much, I found him so funny when I was younger, that sometimes I didn't need a ton of entertainment. It was just good to hear him and hear the drama going on YouTube. The last thing is, ironically, after celebrating the ban of Andrew Tate from being banned from all social media platforms, not too long after that, he gets banned for saying this.
Being a delightful human being. I was just gonna say, if there's another Holocaust, if they start rounding up the Jews again, I hope Ben gets gassed first. Well, that's nice. See, I have a rule generally, which is I don't want people killed in the Holocaust.
Yes, that's right. He told everybody on the internet that he thinks that if there's another Holocaust, Ben Shapiro should get gassed first. This is somebody who wants to portray himself as the savior of the internet, somebody who goes after everybody who's wrong. And I just don't understand how, even if you dislike Ben Shapiro, that you'd think that's a normal sentence to say online after talking so negatively about all these different content creators. Now to finish this up, do I think Ethan Klein's channel is ever actually going to die? Probably not. I think he'll always be able to have a small but large following at the same time. I don't think he's going to get 10 to 15 million views like he used to, but I think he's going to lose something way more valuable than viewership. And I think it's his authenticity. I think nobody takes him seriously anymore. I think that if there's a news story reported specifically by him, I think everybody knows now not to trust H3. I think unless he's going to be in the media for something he does wrong, something he says, or some drama he's going to be in, I think we're not going to hear much of H3 for a long time. And when people truthfully start to look into what he's saying, I think they'll have the same exact realization that I did. It's sad to see your favorite content creator disappear. Alright guys, I would like to thank you for watching the video. I hated how serious this had to be. I want to be funnier, you know? But these videos are too serious to be fun. So hopefully the next video, I'll make a little bit more jokes. Anyways, if you like this video, please like this video. If you didn't like this video, tell the H3 podcast that I made this video and let me go have a debate with them because I need more subscribers. I'm going to be quite honest with you. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a good day.